Are you ready for the Hollywood Chambers Accelerate?
Coaching sessions that help accelerate your business growth.
We break down complex issues in a short format.
From the principles of finance to marketing strategies that will propel your organization.
Learn from industry experts, tastemakers, and business leaders.
Gain knowledge and resources that foster growth and innovation.
The Hollywood Chambers Accelerate.
Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other streaming platforms. Welcome back to today's episode of the Hollywood Chambers Accelerate, sponsored by City National Bank. On this week's episode, we'll shed light on the pressing issue of cybersecurity and wire fraud. We're honored to have Michael Sohn from the FBI's Cyber Task Force providing invaluable insights, prevention strategies, and guidance for responding to cyber breaches.
Good day. How are you? My name is Michael Sohn. I'm one of the cyber supervisors here in FBI Los Angeles. Thank you for having me today. I want to spend the next 15 minutes talking about cybersecurity and some of the wire fraud that the FBI is seeing today. So as a generic legal disclaimer, views and opinions of this presentation are my personal views and does not reflect official views of the United States government. So this is our FBI mission. It's very simple. It's protect the American people. But you can see from the priorities of the FBI, the top three priorities, obviously protect the United States from terrorist attack. But you could kind of see like some of the cyber operations are now in the top two priorities, right, against counterintelligence, as well as combating significant cyber criminal activity. It is because it is such a high priority for the FBI. And this is why I want to spend some time today to kind of discuss with you some of the things that the FBI is seeing and also provide some guidance on how to protect yourself from some of these cyber crimes that's occurring in our everyday life. So this is the iPhone 1 when it first came out. So the iPhone first came out in 2007. And the iPhone, when it first came out, didn't change technology. It changed the way we lived. And you can see from this is what I like to call the vintage social networking, because previous to the iPhone, this is how we had to do social media. You can see the Rolodex, you can see the photo album. This is how kind of we all lived in everyday lives. And with the iPhone, it was kind of fit all of this into the palm of your hands. But not when it changed technology, it also changed the way we did business. But it also changed the threatscape and what the criminals are doing, because cyber criminals have also leveraged this technology as well. As our FBI director said, the scope, breadth, depth, and sophistication of the threat like we're facing today is unlike anything we have seen before. And it shows on the stats that I'm going to show you next. So the Internet Crime Complaint Center, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, is where we ingest a lot of the cybercrime reporting by the citizens of the United States. You can see in the last several years, it has continued to grow larger and larger and larger. And last year, for the first time, it's at the $10 billion mark. So when we break it down from national to the state perspective, you can see in the last several years, California has led the nation in number of victims and number of victim loss. You could see in California in 2022, we had 81,000 victims, and in dollar losses, we had $2 billion loss in California. The next state at Florida didn't even reach the $1 billion threshold. So there's a lot of cybercrime occurring in California. This is some of the posture of a large organization. You can see some of the financial institutions, their cybersecurity budgets, according to their own websites, they're spending almost a lot of money, right? You can see Bank of America spent $1 billion, JPMC spent $600 million on cybersecurity alone. So this is where the criminals realize it's hard to break into them. So they're kind of going to the easier targets, the softer targets. This is a picture of a prolific bank robber wanted by the FBI many, many years ago. And during his 40 years criminal career, they asked him, he stole $2 million. And they asked him, why do you rob banks? And his response was, because that's where the money is. And that made sense, right? But you could kind of see based on the slide I showed you before where Bank of America is spending $1 billion. It's hard to break into the banks. So the cyber criminal has really diverted their efforts to the more softer targets. And they're to the SMB, the small to medium-sized businesses. According to SBA, almost 99.9% of all the percentage of employers are SMBs. So that's almost 1,000 or smaller businesses. And I think for this audience here, for the SMBs, this is where I want to really focus on some of how the threat actors are conducting some of these attacks. There's two types of cyber crimes that's most likely to impact the SMBs, right? So one is ransomware and business email compromise. In a nutshell, what ransomware is pretty much holding your data hostage, right? It is just taking your data, they lock it, they encrypt it, and they hold you hostage. They ask for, depending on what type of profit margin you have or how much cyber insurance you have, they might ask for that exact amount. So they don't put you out of business, but they want to make sure that they get paid as well. So depending on the business, they will target you, and they're just holding your data ransom and until you pay them. And according to open source from the ransomware victim size, it is irrelevant. Whether you're a large business or a small business, they will not discriminate when they attack the organization. So you could see 47% with smaller SMBs and all 54% with large organizations. So you could kind of see that the threat actors they don't care about the victims that they attack. And they impact global victims, right? The Maersk, many years ago, when they hit Maersk as a supply chain, a global shipping company, you can see how much it costs. And they almost cost them $100 million. They also had a very popular GPS, all your watches, all your GPS devices. Garmin was also hit with this as well. So you could kind of see the larger organizations the cyber threat actors hitting. Besides the small business. But they're also hitting the hospitals, right? This is where it becomes a threat to life, where it directly impacts physical, kinetic impact to this. So we had in Hollywood here, with Presbyterian Hospital right here in Hollywood was hit with the ransomware, and several years ago, a hospital in Germany was hit, where it actually led, where they assessed that the ransomware attack directly led to the death of a woman, because when a ransomware hits a hospital, patient records, ability to care kind of goes out the window. So this is kind of some of the impacts that these ransomware can have. And what is business email compromise? Like I said, our City National Bank colleagues have already discussed this in depth, some of the red flags, how to prevent it. But at the end of the day, it is just tricking you to wiring money somewhere else, right? To diverting your hard-earned money to a criminal bank account and stealing it out of some other legitimate business transaction. But BEC, business email compromise, is not just businesses. They impact real estate, they impact healthcare, they impact any construction. They impact every industry that we could think of, and they've all been hit with them based on some of the investigations that we have run. So some of the notable victims, this is all on open source. You can see how much money BEC impacts businesses. Ubiquity, a $46 million Belgian bank, lost 70 million euros. You can see aerospace lost $47 million. These are a lot of money just by simply conducting tricking the companies to wiring money where they're not supposed to go. So this is unfortunately an email that I get one too many times. An email something like this. This is someone who lost all of their loan when they're trying to purchase a home. What they did was they compromised a real estate agent or a real estate title company or an escrow company, and from there they tricked the home buyer into wiring money somewhere else, and it's very heartbreaking. So when we talk to them, sometimes there's no recourse, right? So we have seen victims who lost their entire inheritance to this fraud, and or if they had a loan, they had to default on the loan. And so this is very heartbreaking, and these criminals are doing this constantly. They target this industry because they move a lot of money very quickly. So this is a website of all the talks today. I would love for everyone to kind of know this website. This is a website, again, where you fill in your information. The FBI takes this information and we try to help you recover money. I'll kind of talk about that. But this form on bec.ic.gov, please make sure that it's filled out completely, including your information, right? This helps us when the wire goes out from multiple hops, whether it's from California to the next state to overseas. It helps us track that money down. And so we actually need the originating point where the money is wired from. So please make sure you fill out much as possible, full information, and this kind of goes to the FBI, our headquarters, where they will try to help recover the money. And that team is what we established by the FBI in 2018 called the Recovery Asset Team. Their entire mission is to help victims freeze the money so you could take action with your bank to help return that money back to your account. And so this is their entire mission, and they do it very successfully. And you could kind of see from 2022 stats, almost 73% success rates if you're able to report to us quicker, right? Within the first 48 hours, that's key. So speed is key on the recovery asset team. Just a plug to our City National Bank counterpart. So the inception of the RAT team was actually created right here in City National Bank here in Los Angeles when I asked City National Bank, said, hey, we want to host this event. We don't know what BEC is at the time. Can you help us out? We got all the banks together from all over the world, this threat researchers, cybersecurity researchers, got them all together. And this is how we started a financial fraud culture on recovering money, was started right here at City National Bank. So this is not an endorsement, but I want to push this out, but because I think this is a great job of some training. I can't obviously talk to you about cybersecurity. There's so many things that I could talk about, but these two websites that Ningio did, is a LA-based company. They did a PSA in some of the red flags on BEC, on the real estate side, and some of the more recent scam that's occurring here in the United States on investment fraud that cost the United States $3 billion last year. So these two PSAs are great. Again, it's not an endorsement, but Ninja did a fantastic job of providing 4 or 5 minute anime video on this. So this is one of the quotes I love: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I didn't know who actually said these words. But cyber criminals are also using the same thing, right? They're using the same techniques over and over and over again because it still continues to work. So this is an actual email that was sent to the LA Superior Court. This is the actual email sent by the cyber criminal to court. You could kind of see, like, hey, click on a document from Dropbox. So when you clicked on that email, some of the employees clicked on it, it took them to this site. It looks very similar to Dropbox. It's very easy to replicate websites or any login web page, and that's what they did. But when they clicked on that and typed in their username password for their work email, they provide that credentials to this website. Again, not Dropbox. It was very simple. Right? So it was very successful for them to break into LA Superior Court. So we did the arrest. We found him because not only was he doing this type of crime, was breaking into LA Superior Court, he was doing it to the other BEC, the real estate, credit card fraud, you name it, he was doing it. So we went in and we arrested him and brought him back to California. Here in LA, he's now serving time. But you could see in one of those pictures, you might be like, those laptop doesn't look right? And that's because that's a laptop he was trying to destroy while we were trying to arrest him. So he was trying to destroy the laptop. And you could see on that picture on the right, that's the toilet where he tried to flush down evidence. We're able to recover that and bring it back to bring it back to LA and prosecute him. And it's on open source. He's serving time right now for not only, again, not the Superior Court, but all the business email compromise and other crimes that he was trying to do. So this is a list that I made in 2011. This is nothing new. You could Google it if you say, how do I protect myself and how do I maintain cybersecurity? This will pop up. This is nothing new, but I kind of want to highlight some of these with you because I think they're important, and maybe I'll kind of put them in with some of the case studies that we've done to help you kind of like, oh, I get it now. So first one is multi-factor or two-factor authentication. I don't want to go too much into this because our City National Bank colleagues have already talked about this in length. But again, this is something from the FBI said almost every time if there's a breach, they lack 2FA, right? So this is something we talk about, we preach, but again, please enable two-factor authentication, not just on your email account, but on your bank account, on your social media account, anything that is a login, you want to enable two-factor authentication. So please make sure that this is turned on. But not using the same password is very important. I think password, it is a problem. I'm sure you have a lot of devices, a lot of accounts, and we get lazy and we start using some of the same password. But let me give you an example of why we say don't use the same password, because it might have impacted you directly. So let me kind of start off giving you background on swatting. What is swatting? Swatting started off many, many years ago between gamers. What they're doing, they're calling 911 on maybe a player that they were beating, and then all of a sudden they didn't want to play anymore, they would call the police. So case background, this is back in 2020, Ring contacted the FBI and said, hey, we have some issues where cyber criminals are breaking into Ring, the doorbell, smart doorbell, and calling 911. So Ring said, hey, can you help us out? So my team got involved in this case. So initially started with victims in 13 states. Right? So you could Google this, and they have videos, of news articles on this. They did a fantastic job summarizing this. But Ring cooperated with us and helped us out in catching these bad guys. So what the bad guys did was they took exposed Yahoo credentials. Again, credentials, Yahoo password, username, password that was exposed on whether it was a dark web or open source or wherever they found it, and using those credentials to log into Ring. So what they did was they took all of these credentials, and what they did was they put it into a tool called OpenBullet. It's a free tool available on the internet. And the attack that we call is called credential stuffing. What they did was they took all the Yahoo credentials, put in this tool and said, hey, can we try it on Ring? And if the Ring had the same username and password, it was able to log into Ring, and now they have full access to your Ring account, including your address, because they, depending on what you put into your Ring account, it knew exactly the home, where you were, and all that stuff. So they started doing that. So lessons learned, basic cyber hygiene, right? So these are the two subjects I was charged and indicted by our team here in LA this past December. Again, these cyber criminals were all over the United States, and we're able to charge two of them to make sure that they don't do these kind of crime again. Again, lesson learned, not using the same password on some of your more critical systems. So let me kind of wrap it up, kind of tie all this together. Operation Hackerazzi. At the time when it was first started, a lot of open source, a lot of reporting from the news said, hey, they're breaking into a lot of celebrity cell phones. So we started with that, and we started looking into, how did they break into all these celebrity cell phones? So initially, when we first looked at it, we were back then. They had the iPhone, the Android, and obviously, if you don't remember, they had the BlackBerries, right? So we started looking into this from a sophistication standpoint. Like, how are the cyber criminals breaking into all three devices? And from our perspective, that was something we need to look at. So we started looking into this matter. So once we figured out it wasn't the cell phone, we realized they were breaking into the celebrity's email accounts. And once the criminal broke into the celebrity's email account, he put his own forwarding email address in there, and that's how he was able to receive all the personal communications between celebrities, contractors, their CPAs, and all that information. So essentially, it was an illegal wiretapping is what he was really doing. So this is Mr. Christopher Cheney, 35-year-old out of Jacksonville, Florida. That's him being walked into our courthouse in LA being charged. So once he hacked one celebrity, his contact list grew and grew and grew. So one of the questions I asked here is, how did he break into again, thinking about his background, he didn't have a technology degree, he didn't even work in technology field. How did he break into these celebrities? Right? So when we started looking into it, the only thing he did was he had no technical skills. He literally guessed their secret questions, right? Reset the password. So once he reset the questions, he got in, put his forwarding email address in, and so even if we kicked him out of their email account, he was still receiving them. So to again, kind of to wrap it all up, two lessons learned, right? One is, if you have two-factor authentication, if you use strong secret questions, that might have helped out, especially if your information that you're using for secret question, you don't want to use information that's readily available on the internet or on your social media post. So this is, as our director said, not only are we a law enforcement agency, we want to be an indispensable partner to you to help you protect your network as well, and protect your intellectual property, protect your money, and protect everyone's family. So that is our mission as well, not just by arresting and doing an investigation, but this is why we're here. It is my absolute pleasure to be here today with you. Please, work with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. We're here to do education, and it's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Good morning, friends. My name is Officer Niveta with the Los Angeles Police Department Public Engagement Section, and I'm very excited to be here with you today for Hollywood Chambers Accelerate. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. My partner?
I'm Officer Peraza with the Los Angeles Police Department, also assigned to the Public Engagement Section. I'm the Citywide Crime Coordinator.
Cybersecurity is a very hot topic, especially in today's times. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Whether it's in your personal space, at work, in a professional setting, cybersecurity is definitely something that you do not want to ignore. Ignoring cybersecurity opens a very serious threat.
It's important for us to report when a crime is happening, as it reflects to our areas the importance of identifying the crime. In that, identifying your local LAPD police station where you happen to live, and then addressing what's going on with them directly, documenting everything, but essentially reporting the crime. If it's not reported, the department can help you, and it would unfortunately happen to others as well. And there's a particular nexus too, when it happens to a business or if it happens to you as an individual, because the two are combined. In whichever matter it's presented, it's important you identify either the business or you yourself and how that nexus is, only to protect yourself and your community within the business.
Often, Los Angeles police officers have been seeing cyber threats. Cyber threats can happen from being irresponsible with your password, leaving your computer unattended, whether it's in a professional setting or a personal setting. We want to protect those passwords. We want to protect those users' names. Once a criminal gets a hold of that information, then essentially what you're doing is you're allowing them access to your business or to your personal information.
And with this in mind, always try to have not the same password to all of your accounts or linked into. I know that in the IT world, that's ideal, but to safeguard you from being victim of this, it's highly encouraged to change your passwords and then not keep all your passwords in a little notebook or virtual notebook, only because the suspects that are, and when I say suspects, the criminals, right? The cyber criminals know that this is something that is done. So not only changing the passwords in numerous accounts, but then also not exactly linking it in a particular space in your phone where the criminals could have access to this, only because we all use Wi-Fi and sometimes the Wi-Fi space is not secure, even though it should be. We shouldn't take it in account as to its being a secure place, because we've all experienced or seen someone who we know experienced this. So not only being extra vigilant with your Wi-Fi connection, but then also extra vigilant with your phone, as your phone has, or iPads, electronic devices that you use at work or at your business or in your personal space, because those, it opens up a spectrum of victimization within this role of the cyber crimes or what have you.
If you feel that you're a victim of a cyber threat or a crime, remember, those words could lead to identity theft. If you feel your business is a victim of cyber theft, cyber threat, we encourage you to visit your local police station and report it immediately. Instances like that should not go unreported. It's very important for your local police department to know what's happening in your cyber world. For more information, we encourage you to visit lapd.online. If you believe you're a victim of a cyber threat or possibly identity theft,
also assure that you notify your banking entities or your private entities that are being affected by it, because it's not only important you report it to law enforcement, but it's also vital that you communicate with your bank entities and let them know what is happening, and assure that all your accounts are addressed in which way that will keep you safe as you could be.
Again, we thank you for supporting the Los Angeles Police Department, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you for tuning in to Accelerate. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite streaming platform and on our YouTube channel. For more information on the Hollywood Chamber, please visit hollywoodchamber.net. Want to join us for our next HCC event? Network and mingle with Hollywood's leading business professionals, innovators, and creatives at some of the top-rated restaurants and venues in the area. Register for our monthly lunch hustle, speed leads, bash, and happy hour events at hollywoodchamber.net/events.